The thing with a man today in 2022, if he puts boundaries and standards and expectations in his family, his wife, people around him, society, he's controlling, he's misogynistic, he's extreme, he's barbaric, he's insecure. But a man that's dayuth, a man that has no standards, no expectations, doesn't want the best for his family, his wife, whatever, confident, secure. Explain this, bro.
What I wanted to speak to you a little bit about is conceptions of masculinity.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you've been criticized with that as well, like the toxic masculinity and
Supposedly, yeah. Which is such a vague term. It's almost like the community guidelines.
What do you think they mean by that?
Well, it's almost like the community guidelines of these social media companies, right? They give this stupid definition of a term, which basically can be applied to anybody and anything willy-nilly, deciding whether they like you or not. It's very vague. It's not solid. What they're trying to say is that you're overly masculine and that some of the traits which are innate inside of you as a man are somehow now bad for society or for other people, which is absolutely insane to even try and conceptualize, because it's asinine and it's childish, because like anyone with a brain understands that there are certain scenarios in life where particular qualities are completely applicable and permissible, and there's certain scenarios when they're not. To sit and say it's toxically masculine for men to be violent is stupid, because there are scenarios in life where you need a man to be violent. If someone breaks into your house, or if you go to war, or if you call a police officer. So it's not a matter of, a certain subset of masculine qualities being labeled negative, because these qualities exist because we've needed them for a very long time, and I argue we still need them
It's
today.
only when it interferes with their interests. Right?
And only when it interferes with their interests. It's kind of funny. I was arguing with a feminist, like I've done a bunch. And she was talking about toxic masculinity, and she was talking about the idea that men are innately violent and how that's bad. And I said, you think that's bad because you're living in an extremely privileged society and a very privileged life. But I'll tell you that that's not bad, because you, even in and of yourself, may not know this, but you like the idea of men being violent. Because let's say I lost my mind right now, or let's say an intruder broke in and threatened you physically.
Yeah, exactly.
You would call a man to be violent for you. You'd call the police and say, please be violent to protect me. You believe in violence very much. Yeah. So for you to sit there and say, oh, that violence is toxically masculine, but you call a toxically masculine man when the trouble comes, shows that the whole idea in and of itself is hypocritical and it's garbage and it's stupid. And what they're trying to do is brainwash people into thinking that if you stand up for yourself, or if you are true to the innate way we were built, the things that are inside of us when we're born, that there's something wrong with you. They want you confused. They want you to sit and go, I'm a man, and what's happening around me I think is unfair, and it makes me feel unhappy about it, and I want to stand up and talk and fight against it. They want to convince you that that's wrong and you're a bad person for wanting to defend your ideas. And I don't think that's the case. That's simply the absolute opposite, in fact.
Absolutely.
That's very
You
true.
know how many times, bro, we got comments calling us misogynist, or you guys are like the epitome of toxic masculinity, bro. You know how many times, bro? It doesn't even. What does that even mean anymore? Somebody give me a clear-cut definition of what toxic masculinity means. I even storied this the other day on Instagram that, this guy made a TikTok and he Googled like what are like toxic masculinity traits. All you see is like leadership, confidence, assertiveness. I'm like, bro, what? It was like strength, being lean. I was like, how are these toxically masculine, bro? How does that make any sense?
Yeah, and it just speaks volume to what I think they talked about earlier in the podcast, where they're saying that basically, society is going to construct one view, and if you go against it, they're going to hate you. And essentially, it's what Andrew Tate said about the definitions. And I mentioned this, I think, every time someone asked us or me about masculinity, I'm like, you can't really define it other than, from a religious perspective. What can you really, maybe there's like a psychological aspect to it as well. But to define, like, you're going to have people that say true masculinity is letting your woman do whatever she wants. And it's like, how do you prove it is? How do you prove it isn't? What are you going to do? Are you going to go say, oh, the leader of the wolf pack is a male. He is a man. He's a male. He's a protector and whatever over the wolf pack. But, there's a lot of animals that do disgusting things. We shouldn't look at animals. What are you going to do? You're going to look at past societies. Some are good, some are bad. There's no way to really define what is masculinity, femininity in a way that is so objective that everyone has to agree to it. It's not going to be like 1 + 1 = 2 axiomatically. They're going to have these messed up definitions. And anytime someone comes and says, whether it's kind of in defense of men or against men, this is what masculinity is, there's no way of proving it. So that's why as Muslims, we stick to the Quran and the Sunnah. we see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, men are the providers and caretakers of women. He says, مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الرِّجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَهَدُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ. He says, basically, pardon me, still sick. He says, basically, there are basically amongst people, amongst guys, there are men who uphold their covenant to Allah. And then he says, and there are some who have yet to do so. It talks about if Allah, it's up to Allah if He forgives them or if He punishes them at the end of the day. There's so many ayats in the Quran, Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, telling us what a man should be. There's a time when the Prophet ﷺ was nice, a time when he was harsh, a time when he was peaceful, and a time when he went to war, a time where he rode, on a horse without a saddle, with a sword. All these, things that maybe some people will find crazy.
See, the thing with a man today in 2022, if he puts boundaries and standards and expectations in his family, his wife, people around him, society, he's controlling, he's misogynistic, he's extreme, he's barbaric, he's insecure. But a man that's dayuth, a man that has no standards, no expectations, doesn't want the best for his family, his wife, whatever, confident, secure, like, explain this, bro.
Yeah, again, and it's a double standard. It's a double standard. There was a video on TikTok I saw recently. A girl was like, "I've never seen in my life," and then she pulls the camera closer. She's like, "A man that I need. You're all replaceable. You are a guest in this house." All this stuff. I'm like, imagine if a man made the same exact video. The comments that are going to be under that. When a woman says something like that, oh, it's always, yes, queen, go off, yeah, blah 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 blah.
Louder.
Whatever. Yeah, and when a man does it, it's misogynistic, hateful, disgusting, all this crazy stuff. It's like, it's a clear double standard. Or at least provide reasoning. At least provide reasoning as to why women can say this stuff and men can't. And I know they're gonna say something like, well, because men, naturally have more power. So, and then they've already slipped up. Now they're misogynistic as well. Or they're gonna say because men oppressed women for so long. Okay, so what? Just because
two wrongs don't make a right, sweetheart.
Yeah. Just because that actually, if anything, you're just saying you're no better than those men.
Yeah.
Stupid. It's silly, man. It's silly.
Look, I know this brother who he was engaged before, and he had these certain boundaries. Yeah, but whenever he would enforce these boundaries, his woman and the woman's family would basically classify him as being like misogynist, and they would say that he was just being extra. He was being extra and all this stuff. So it was like over time, he started to soften more and more and more to the point where he was just bending over backwards till his back was about to snap. And then what happened at the end? This girl ended up leaving him, and then now he ended up getting married, and he's not enforcing these. Not my bad. He's actually doing the things that he was doing before, but this time is like he knows that what he was doing before is correct. He knows that it's actually proper, that the things that he was being told and that he was being programmed while he was in the relationship prior, that it's not the truth. It's not real, And then that's what's in society, bro. It's a main narrative. It's a main agenda.
Bro,
and it's like Andrew Tate said earlier.
You didn't have to expose our friend like that, bro. Come on now.
What you talking about, bro?
I know who you're talking about.
Who am I talking about?
We'll keep it between us.
Bro, listen, it's a brother, and I don't think y'all even know this brother.
I love him for the sake of Allah, bro.
No, I don't think y'all know this brother at all.
All right, call us, bro.
Nah, but y'all get the point though.
Yeah.
Y'all get the point though.
Was he saying actually misogynistic things or things that people just call misogynistic?
No. It's just proper. It's proper things like
I see.
The fitra, bro. Like the fitra, like you would have a boundary, right? Like you wouldn't want your woman going out and talking to a whole bunch of guys that are her friends.
Yeah.
Right? That's just natural. Any man would have khayra. He would not want that. But then khayra, my bad.
You could say the whole line again. That's why I jumped in.
Yeah, appreciate it. But I'm just saying, like, he was being put down for that. And he was being put down by many people. They were all saying the same thing. So it's like, if you have a collective that's all saying the same thing against you, you start to question yourself. You start to doubt yourself. And it's like, if you if you don't have that strong direction, if you don't have the ability to just close that off and just continue in your path, like at one point or another, that's going to influence you, just like it influenced his brother, and it's gonna get you to the point where a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, several years from now, you're gonna look in the mirror, you're not even gonna know who you are.
May Allah protect us, bro.
Allahumma
Ameen.
ameen. I mean,
Ameen.
that's why it's so important to always go back to Islam, because like we're gonna slip up as people, but our standard is Islam. Alhamdulillah. A lot of people, their standard is society. They don't know what the Jews. They choose what the majority says. Islamically, as Muslims, we just go to the Quran and the Sunnah. We see what Allah and the Messenger say. Alayhi salatu wasalam. We're good.
Yeah.
Inshallah.